Don't let anybody pressure you into being in a relationship. It's okay for you to be 18-year-old and not be in a relationship. It is okay for you to be 21-year-old and not be in a relationship. It is fine as long as you are not ready. The way it would be you, the way it will suddenly be you, and you'll be asking yourself, how did we get here? Never trust a man. Yes, you heard me right. You can never trust anything that comes out from a man. Let your hope of tomorrow be God and not on the things that you've seen around you, because those things can disappear, those things can perish, but God remains the same and God is forever. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 7 life lessons that I'd tell my younger self if I have the opportunity to. First thing I would like to say is, be yourself, people will be fine. You definitely have to be yourself in the unique way that God has created you, okay? You do not have to let people walk over you. You shouldn't let people lord anything over you. As far as whatever you are doing does not hurt anyone, as far as it is something that God approves of, I believe so much that you should let your full potential be seen and appreciated. But when you keep hiding yourself, when you keep covering yourself and being who people want you to be and being who your community wants you to be, at the end of the day you are no longer expressing yourself. At the end of the day, you might not even know who you are because you have become this person that you don't even know. So take it upon yourself to give yourself and who you really are true expression. Second thing I would say is to give people the grace to be humans. When they behave in their human nature, in our human nature, okay, that same grace that you extend to yourself, extend it to them too. The truth is that everybody is also going through their own fair share of life's hurdles. And when you have this mindset, when people go out of their way to be nice to you, you will appreciate it, knowing fully well that this person didn't really have to, but they did anyway. Next thing I would say is to not be too hard on yourself. Leave some more, loosen up. It's not that deep, okay? As a young person, maybe as a teenager, you might set some rules for yourself, from some don'ts, some do's. I want you to not be too hard on yourself when you fail or when you come short of that. You have to extend some grace to yourself. You cannot expect yourself to stick to a particular thing that you said you would not do. Maybe in your early 20s or in your teenage years, you decided to never take alcohol in your life, all right? So you should not be hard on yourself when you go out to a party, assuming like you're of age, of course, and you go out to a party and you take a sip of alcohol. Like, it's not that deep. That one sip will not hurt, that one sip cannot kill you. I'm just trying to make you understand that when you set rules and boundaries for yourself and you find out that you cross them, you should not be too hard on yourself. You should not beat yourself up. Just learn from it and move on. And do not set unnecessary boundaries, trying to be too rigid and not let yourself live. Because what happens when you set too much boundaries for yourself is it can be exhausting, and you will definitely get exhausted. And when you do, you will find yourself doing the exact opposite of those things. Of course, there are rules that you should set for yourself and make sure that you stick to them, okay? Anyone that is not that deep, try to not make it that deep, okay? So the next thing I would say is to never say can never be me. You know that statement when you say something like, you're like, oh my God, can never be me. Do not make that statement, because the way it would be you, the way it will suddenly be you, and you'll be asking yourself, how did we get here? When somebody does something that you don't really approve of, okay, just pause and understand that this person is human being, and you too, you're also a human being. You're also in the flesh. Some of us are already saved. It's the grace of God that has saved us. Imagine you were not saved. Imagine you were exposed to the very circumstances and upbringing that person had. You would have probably done worse than they have done. So when you see or hear something that you can't even imagine yourself doing, instead of saying can never be me, what you should probably be saying is, God, please help me to never do this. Help me. Because on your own, you can't do nothing. On your own, you will literally do that same thing. Give yourself time, give yourself years. On your own, you will find yourself doing that exact thing, even worse. And like I said, when exposed to the exact situation and circumstances that those people were exposed to, you might probably do worse. So when you hear people say, oh, they did this, oh, they did that, just either you start thanking God because His Spirit is in you and He will lead you through all things and He will instruct you on the right path, or you just outrightly say, God, please help me to never do this thing, help me to never go this way. Because if you depend on your own abilities to guide you, you find yourself in a dish. Fifth thing I would tell myself is never trust a man. Yes, you heard me right. But in this case, the man that I mean here is actually mankind, which includes both male and female. All right, so do not trust human beings, basically. Now, I'm not saying you should not trust anybody, but in this context is putting the trust that you should have in God in human beings. So if there's an uncle that said, oh, send me your CV once you graduate, even if that uncle is Dangote, human being can make promises and forget that they even made those promises. Okay, they might have today and lack tomorrow. They can be up today and down tomorrow. So you can never trust anything that comes out from a man. Make sure you still back it up with prayer, asking God to help this person fulfill their promise to you, asking God to be the one to favor you, not necessarily this person. At the end of the day, God does not want to share His glory with any man. Let your trust, let your sustenance, let the trust of your tomorrow, let your hope of tomorrow be God and not on the things that you've seen around you, because those things can disappear, those things can perish, but God remains the same and God is forever. So the next thing I would say is to praise God even in the storm. It is very important for you to praise God and to be thankful to God no matter what you're going through, because in hindsight, you'd wish you didn't beat up yourself, you didn't cry. For instance, right now you can pause this video and think about all the ways that God has come through for you. Remember when you were in a storm and you thought your world was literally crashing, and you cried and cried and cried and cried and said all the hurtful things you said to God. But at the end of the day, God came through for you, and now you regret ever saying those things. You regret ever crying. Even you're asking yourself, I should have just saved my tears. So I should have just saved my tears. Like personally, there was a time I was going through a storm and I cried. I cried. Looking at it from a point of victory, I saw that there was no point for me crying at all. I would have just, marched towards God in prayer and in thanksgiving, telling your problems who your God is and not telling God who your problem is. You are affirming that God is the King of all, and even in that situation that He is Lord. So the seventh thing that I would say to my younger self is to not get into a relationship unless you are ready. Readiness differs from person to person, okay? What I mean by this is that, at that particular age where you get to and you know that you are ready to get married, that is the age that I believe people should be getting into a relationship. You have no business with being in a relationship as a teenager whatsoever. I don't see any point in it, okay? There is no point. Even if you are in love, that person can wait. People can wait and grow up. People can wait and just get to know yourselves better, understand yourself individually, grow up, mature better before getting into a relationship. I would always stand, and I will always advise that you wait till you are ready. Okay, this might be when you are in school, it might be when you are outside school. Don't let anybody pressure you into being in a relationship. It's okay for you to be 18-year-old and not be in a relationship. It is okay for you to be 21-year-old and not be in a relationship. It is fine as long as you are not ready. Define readiness for yourself and stick to it. And when the time comes, when you think you are ready, you've matured to a great extent, you know God for yourself, love yourself, and now you can even have time to love someone else. Okay, that's the end of this video. Okay, let me know in the comment section if you'd like me to make part 2 of this video. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.